7:16, and I'm now calling the Sherborn Conservation Commission meeting of April 4th, 2024 to order. I'll have a roll call. I'll call out your name, give your name and present. Michael Lesser present. Jacob.
Jacob Strauss present.
Courtney.
Courtney Eck present.
Matt.
Matt Olaire present.
Bert.
Kurt Stiegel present.
Steve.
Steve, you're muted.
Oh,
Steve Scrimshaw present.
Terry.
Terry Luskin present.
We're all here. Any issues that came up in the last 24 hours that we need to amend the agenda?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, we could just move on here. We have a hearing at 7:20, which is going to be continued. I think we have, I don't know if we got the permission for that.
We
Deb,
did.
yeah, what's that?
We did.
Okay, fine.
They're going to be ready at the next meeting.
Okay, fine. Let's see whether we start with, I guess you could talk for a few minutes before we, Heidi, if you don't mind, you could talk for a few minutes, then I'm going to interrupt you to open a hearing and then continue it. And then you can start all over again. And hopefully we retained what you said.
Do you really want to do that, or do you want to just take 2 minutes for some other, like we have a warrant?
Okay, fine. We got a better idea.
I'd rather not interrupt poor Heidi.
Okay. There is a warrant there, which is simply for me going to the MACC conference.
Oh, well, I don't want to give you money, so.
Okay, fine. Well, Deb already signed off on, so she's not.
Oh, dang.
So we'll go there.
Okay.
Okay, that's the warrant, and
All of the AAs on the list,
yeah,
they were all visited, they're all set, they're all out of jurisdiction.
okay, I'm gonna read them for the record because I think
Yep.
that's what I decided to do. 6 Curve Street, there's an addition. 7 Course Brook Road, there's a deck. 117 Mill Street, a farm stand. 14 Peckham Hill Road for soil testing. 112 North Main Street for an addition. 25 Farm Road for a deck, and 35 Brush Hill Road for soil testing, all outside of our jurisdiction. Okay. Let's see, there's nothing new on the FY25 budget. Everything seems to be going along fine on that. I guess Joyce, I don't think did any minutes, so I think that's not going to be an issue tonight. All right, the other projects, and it's 7:20. I am now reopening the continued public hearing. The notice of intent for 191 Maple Street, proposal to review and confirm delineated wetland resources, and for their addition.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess we got to reword that.
Yeah, it'll be fixed.
Okay, the applicant has asked for a continuation of that hearing. So I will move to continue the hearing to 7:20 on April 18th.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, aye. Courtney?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jacob?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Okay, that has happened. So we'll deal with that next time. Just make a note here. Okay. Now, let's discuss the Farm Pond 350th Water and Fire event. It's all yours, Heidi.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can screen share or someone can screen share the PowerPoint.
No.
Deborah had it.
Oh,
Okay.
you have it? You can do it if you want.
I actually don't have it on my computer. I emailed it to Deborah and Joyce.
Oh, okay, we'll get it. One of us. will-
Okay. If
It's
not,
in
I
the
will.
shared file.
I can do it.
Okay.
Okay. If not, I will talk through it.
It's all right, I have it here. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
It's- There we go. Um,
I'll start explaining it while you load it up. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is our presentation. I'm here on behalf of the Sherborn 350th Steering Committee. If we can go to the next slide, please. And I think some of you may have seen our signs and some of the events we've done this year. We are trying to get a calendar of events going, and we've been updating progress to the select board, and we're also encouraging participation from various boards and committees as well. If you have ideas, we'd be happy to and join you on a project. And the next slide. So just where we're getting some of our funding, last year we had gotten $10,000 from the town meeting in free cash. We got, unfortunately, we had asked for 35,000 in earmark from the state. We were given 35,000 in earmark, and they cut it all in half just a few months ago. So now we're only getting 17,500. We did get a $2,500 grant from Mass Cultural. We got a grant from Sherborn Business Association, and then we're getting a bunch of private donations and sponsorships. And our goal is really to provide diverse celebrations, as many as free events as we can. We'd like them all to be free if we can get enough sponsorships. And we're also looking to have a signature gift to the town to memorialize the 350th celebration. Next slide. So this is just a quick calendar of events. I'll let you read it. It's on our website, so I'm not going to go through everything. The one I'm here today is to talk to conservation about a water and fire event that we would like to do down at Farm Pond. If we can do it the next slide. This just shows our Sherborn350.org is our website, where you can go and you can see the programs that we've done already. There are quite a few Zoom meetings on Indigenous people, as well as there was one on Sent to Sherborn about the women's prison that used to be here, and other events that and native plants. We had a great talk on native plants that are available on our website right now, and we'll continue to add throughout the year. Next one. So the concept from what I'm going to be, we can skip. You'll know who the people are. Trying to make this as quick as possible for you. So I don't know if people are familiar with water fire down in Providence, which is done in the summertime, and it's along the river canal that goes to the center of Providence. And they do these fire urns on the water. There is all kinds of entertainment, street entertainment, music is wafting through the air, and it's kind of a very nice walk through the downtown area. Different food is on display. And so I had an idea of what if we could do a mini version of this in Sherborn as part of the 350th. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So I'm looking for welcome for name suggestions. Right now I'm calling it Water and Fire because Providence is trademarked, so we have to distinguish it a little bit. I'm looking for an event from probably an evening in September, because Jeannie would like the docks out of Farm Pond and have that summer season over. So it'd be in the beginning of September. It'd be from 7 to 9:30 p.m. And the concept is we'd have luminaria that would go down the pass. And I envision that to be paper bags that we'd ask the kids to make drawings and some way of maybe memorializing the 350, or something to incorporate with Farm Pond or conservation, something maybe a school project or through the library in the summer. And then we put the little battery operated lights along these to light the pass. And then in the water, probably about 12 feet from the shore, we would have 3 fire pits, and that would involve a construction of using a wooden platform that we would then put patio stones on it, like a square of patio stones, and then a fire pit on top of it. And they have already talked to DPW and the fire department that are willing to man and load the fire pits up. Hoping we can get kids, actors, any other entertainment on the beach, some type of music going, and then in the parking lot to offer desserts, get a couple food trucks, cookies, or some other things on it. So the idea is that people would kind of just come, take a stroll, enjoy it, and then kind of move on. So it's not going to be a big food fest. Food is only going to be up in the parking lot. And if you could go to the next slide, please. This was my crude rendition. Sorry, I'm not very artistic on these things, but of the squiggle at the top was the water line with the 3 fire pits in them, and then just the walkways going down. And then the front part was the parking lot where you'd have one way in and then one way coming out. The vendors would be off to the left where the handicap spaces were. And then the parking would be both in the center area and then off behind the bathrooms on the side. And then also I'm thinking of us having maybe an information table that would be available for, I think Farm Pond Advisory was interested in putting out some information for people. If conservation's interested, groundwater protection, I'd make it available to other groups in town to help promote preserving Farm Pond, essentially. And the next slide, please. So this was just some of the concept drawings of what I had in mind and hope to create. And then the next slide is just showing the parking. No, this one, sorry, is the vessel concept. And the wood pallets would be kind of on stilts, so they'd stand in the water. They wouldn't be floating, they would be fixed. And then I said, you know, DPW is going to help with the concept and installation, and the fire department's willing to man them. And the next slide. So just showing the parking lot where this would be the exit parking. This is the bathhouse, so there'd be parking directly behind there and in front of there. We would talk to the police as well as if we need to have a detail, which we may have to. I don't expect it to be a huge crowd, but I'm hoping we get a lot of families to come out for this. And the next slide. So I'm going to be sponsoring this with Farm Pond Advisory, Conservation, if you're willing to join with us and make it a joint sponsorship. If you'd like to be involved with the information table. We're hoping to involve the children in the community with designing the white luminaria bags. We're hoping to make this a free event. Sherborn Foundation is already considering giving us $2,500 to help cover some of the food trucks for this. We've already talked about the local entertainment. I've gone to Farm Pond Advisory, and the suggestions they had is they do not want the ashes dumped into the water, and they do not want us to use accelerant to light the flames, but otherwise they were in full support and thought this would be an interesting project. And then my last slide. This is what we're hoping to move forward with, and happy to hear what you'd like. And I'm here tonight to ask for Conservation Commission's support.
Okay. Thank you. Quite a nice
Thank you.
presentation.
Very quick, sorry.
No, a lot of slides, and the drawing was good too. Okay.
You can stop sharing, that's fine.
Okay, unless anybody wants to see anything in particular. Again, does anybody on the commission want to see another slide again?
No,
Okay.
it sounds like a lot of fun. It also reminds me of they have like a night of illumination at Garden in the Woods in Framingham. They do that every year. I bet you can see get some really good ideas. I think they probably have pictures posted online. They do luminaria, but they do all kinds of light displays. Like I think last year they had like carved pumpkins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they have food trucks, and it's actually very well attended. So I don't know, maybe you will have lots of crowds. It sounds very cool, and it sounds like Farm Pond Advisory already made some good suggestions. So I'm not sure that I have lots of concerns. Sorry, there's a hand coming in. That was not my thumb, but apparently James gives it a thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
What food do you want, James?
I just have I think it's important to keep the Farm Pond Advisory Committee and keep them in pretty close communication about the plans. And that would certainly make ease any concerns I might have if they're involved.
Yes, Melinda O'Neill, who's on Farm Pond, is on our steering committee as well. So she's pretty aware of what the steps are, but I haven't gone back to them yet until I talked to you. I feel I've made my first rounds. You were the last committee I was coming to, and as we get closer, I would definitely be going back to them and keeping appraised of what's going on. And I'm happy to come back here too and give you an update as it gets closer to the time.
Any other commissioners want to comment before I go to people in the audience? Go ahead.
He has their hand up.
Yeah, go. Terry,
I wondered whether you considered looping in the Dover Sherborn High School students, particularly the art department, whether they'd have some thoughts and could wrangle some of the details that you all are hoping to have.
I would love to, but I didn't want to approach them till you were my last committee, till I feel I've gotten the approval from all the committees in town, because I didn't want to go and then come back here and find out like, oh no, there's
Right,
this
right.
hiccup.
Right.
But I would like to talk with them in the drama group as
Yeah,
well.
with my other hat on of retired teacher for 20 years at high school, I was like, sounds like it would be right up many teachers' alleys and students as well. So
No, and I would love if, yeah, I'd love if someone need community service to help volunteer.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
okay, Bob, you have a comment? Oops.
Oops, sorry. Yes, I do. I just want to say, as an abutter to Farm Pond, I'm wildly enthusiastic about this idea. It sounds like a great community event. And whatever we can do to pitch in as neighbors, just let us know.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other commission members want to say anything or have any conditions on this?
No, the ones that the Farm Pond Advisory Committee sound reasonable to me.
Yeah, those are the ones I was concerned
They
about.
already mentioned sound reasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything else besides those, as long as those get applied. It sounds good to me. It sounds wonderful.
Well, you know where to find me if something comes up and you think of something else.
Right, I guess I'm trying to think of how do we just vote support? I don't think there's any real permitting that we have to do.
Heidi, do you want just a vote of support, or are you okay?
I think that would help to be on record. And also, would you like to be one of the sponsors? Would you like me to add on that this is also sponsored by conservation, if you want to have information out as well? I'm happy to do that.
I don't know if we can commit to that just yet.
That's-
Oh, wait, you have information.
I'm like, we'd have to figure out who wants to man a table.
When you
Uh,
don't have to, you can just put something out. I mean, but we could just list.
Oh,
if
I
you
see, yeah,
say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we could
can
just
find
say
something.
sponsored by Farm Pond and Conservation,
I
with-
see.
I think I would be game to do
I
that.
think we could come up with something before the fall, so or
Right.
when it's gonna be, so.
Yes,
Okay,
so, and I guess we don't need any, I mean, I think it's obvious, but I don't think we need any kind of permitting application.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. Good. Then does anybody else have any more comments before we vote in support of this? Okay, so Bob, do you have a new thing or your hand is still waving? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I move that we support this whichever the name of this event is, with some fire and some water and entertainment at Farm Pond Beach, and that the Conservation Commission is a co-sponsor.
second,
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, a vote, roll call vote. Michael, I, Courtney,
aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
Okay, well, you've got through your last hurdle.
Thank you very much.
Besides all the work you have to do.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for doing that. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Excuse me, everybody. Let me go back to my agenda here. It is 7:36. Okay, let's see, we still got people here, I assume are, just to understand why people are here. Sort of Meredith, Jack, Rafe, Leslie, Bob, I assume you're here for the possible for discussion about the affordable housing projects? Or somebody
That's
here for
correct.
something else?
Jack Mulhall.
Excuse me?
Jack Mulhall, correct.
Oh,
We're
okay.
here for the affordable housing, yes.
Is anybody else here for anything else? Okay, I guess that hearing. Let's see, we can actually delay the regulatory one, so maybe since people are here now, we could take up that agenda item. It's on the agenda that the Farm Road, I'll just do a little update. The Farm Road homes, we sent in our proposed conditions for there. We've had a response from the applicant that he thought that all of the conditions that we proposed for Farm Road homes were ones that were not applied to market rate houses. I have not yet drafted or apply, but essentially, we don't have to go over it here, but essentially all of those conditions about mitigating impacts in the buffer zone are exactly what we would do, and even less to some extent than what we would do with a market rate home, given that there's relatively little mitigation options in that project that maybe the ZBA would accept. So I would say that, so I plan to write back that it's all the same thing we would do for market-based homes. And there is a section at the end that goes beyond that, but it's very clearly indicated that those are things that are beyond our jurisdiction. And that it would be nice if some of those things were also put in place, given the fact that there's limited mitigation on this site. So that is a little bit of an update on Farm Road homes. I don't know if you, Bob, I mean, I wasn't planning on bringing up the memo and going through it one by one versus we can do that probably whether at the whether that's an issue with the ZBA, because they're the ones who would have to decide whether they want to accept any of that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't see any need particularly to go through item by item. I guess I would just say that kind of supplement what I said, which the response was more of a not formal, but it was more toward the law. And I would just say to the commission that I am always happy to take into account your ideas about how to do things in a way that is, better for the site and for the community and everything else. But I have to stand my ground when I think you're asking me to do something that you don't otherwise ask market rate projects to do, i.e. you don't have it in your regulations. In other words, that's the primary thing. Then I feel compelled to react to that. But many of the things I either will do anyway, or will consider more conversations with any of you that want to take it up. But of course, we have to get to the point where we have an approved project before we can do that. And given the recent experience, I don't know how quickly that will happen. But I appreciate your comments, and I hope you appreciate my responses. They are thoughtful. So
Okay, fine. I guess we'll write back to you, and I guess we'll probably deal maybe
course.
with the ZBA forum.
Perfectly appropriate. Yep.
And we'll go from there, since that's most of the conditioning, a lot of the conditioning for this project will have to be through the ZBA as opposed to when you come to us with an NOI, if everything goes forward. And depending on the configuration of the project, I don't know whether that's even still up in the air. Okay, so that's the Farm Road homes. Did anybody from the from the public wanted to comment on that? On the Farm Road homes issue? Seeing none. Washington Street homes, one. They started having the more detailed hearings on that. I guess I'm not prepared tonight to say much on that one. And we have submitted comments that we were concerned about some of the buffer zone issues and the septic issues there. And whether, and I guess we have to, I think we have to draft something, I guess, for our next meeting, because I guess the next meeting on, one is on the 25th. Is on that. So for our next meeting on the 18th, we should start drafting some, we'll have a more thorough discussion of some of the issues that we have that we would like the ZBA to consider. In that project, a lot of the issues also will fall under the under an NOI, because many of the buffer zone issues and such also apply at the state level. So that'll be a little bit different than what's going on at Farm Road Homes, but unfortunately, for those of you here on the Washington Street, we're putting off any more detailed discussion of that until the 18th meeting. And maybe we'll try to roughly put in a time schedule for that, but and how long some of our hearings run, but okay. So that's where we are on that. I don't know if, whether any of the other members from the public or Bob want to comment on that or ask any questions at this point.
I'm all set. Thank you, Michael.
You know, I don't know if the commissioners or the public want to say anything. Raise your hand before we move on. Okay. So sorry if I brought you out. Hopefully I didn't keep you from too many other events. With that item on the agenda list without having a lot of specifics at the moment. Okay. In that case, moving on. Nice. No. Let's go to the DPW maintenance projects.
So there's nothing really to discuss with that. It was just in case anybody had questions. There's some paving, and I think we also got a notification for the roundabout work that's going to happen. This is just, we got routine notification that the DPW director provides before he's going to start a project under the order of conditions.
Yeah. I guess it's nice that we don't always get these. So this is part of a whole
Oh,
project.
yeah. So public thank you to Sean for sending in his notifications.
Yes, exactly. And I guess, have we ever conditioned it in terms of some erosion control if there's really crossing anything? I'm not even sure what we've done.
I mean, I think most of that is in the order of conditions, and none of this was, it was all just repaving standard stuff that I think is covered in the order of conditions.
Right, for general maintenance.
Yeah. And even the roundabout, the area that's relevant to the order of conditions is further away from the roundabout, and it's just getting repaved in that area.
Yeah,
It's not where, like, all the work is happening. So
I guess Mill Street's getting some work.
yeah, they're and part of Forest Street, they're chip sealing kinds of stuff. So
Right. I don't know what the third one is, but okay. It's nice to see that he did that. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody have any questions about this? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. Let's see. Are there any announcements that anybody has? Okay. We have gone through, let's see, I just want to get through all the stuff here. What about site issues?
We could discuss the COC.
Yep, what's the issue there? Do I need to bring something up?
Yeah, why don't you pull something up? Why don't you pull up the as-built, I guess?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So this was in 194 Maple Street. This was an order of conditions from when they replaced the septic in like 2010-ish.
oh,
Yeah. So the as-built, so the part of the infiltration bed is within the 100-foot buffer zone, as well as the tank. And initially, so in the top left, you can see there's a blower unit and a vent pipe. So in the initial plan, that was located down close to the driveway. And it was actually located much closer to the wetland, like right on the edge of the 50-foot buffer zone. And then, so when they did this initially, they ended up being able to move it further out, so further away from the 50-foot. And so it's actually not shown on this plan. So the original plan, they had a couple of plantings that were going to go around the blower unit. I believe it was like white pine and hemlock. And so I think, yeah, so I think the plantings got eaten a few times, but they ended up putting in arborvitaes around the blower unit in its better location, and those are protected against deer. Initially, when this project was done, I think the agent also found some brush piles and debris that were in the buffer zone and the wetland. And so part of that was cleaning that up. There were also some shrubs that were planted in the buffer zone. It's not clear if the shrubs that are currently in the buffer zone are the ones that were planted. But there are mature shrubs in the buffer zone. Everything is stable and has grown in. And the edge of the woods and the edge of the lawn are exactly as they're supposed to be from the original plan. So everything looked pretty kosher to me. And I put some pictures in the file there.
mhm.
Obviously, it's been a long time since anything was planted, but there was no branches and debris piles anymore. And there's some understory. There were some shrubs out there that is around the blower. So I didn't see any reasons why we shouldn't issue the COC.
Okay, and I guess back then we didn't have any monuments.
Correct. Yeah, that's the only thing. I was like, the order's in there too, but
Oh, yeah,
There's-
it's a long time ago, yeah.
it was a while ago, yeah. Yes.
Okay. So they've met all the conditions in the order.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then I guess. Does anybody have any questions? In the commission? Okay, so that matches that matches the original conditions, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. Anybody from the commission have any questions? Okay. Hearing none. Anybody from the public have any questions? Okay. And hearing none, I move that we grant a certificate of completion for 194 Maple Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I. Courtney,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
Okay. That's over with there. Okay, going back to the agenda. Okay. I think we have gone through. Are there any other site issues that Joyce wanted to talk about?
Nope.
Okay.
All set.
Then we're every minute, done this, we've done that. Okay. I will now let's see, I think the last item. Okay, it's a little late. I am now reopening the continued public hearing on the Sherborn wetland regulations and discussion of possible amendments and drafts to those regulations so that we can produce a draft. That will then we'll have then a second hearing where everybody will get the draft material. I guess for the people in the audience, I'll say that, yes, this is just a first level of hearing, and then we'll produce a draft that will be more publicly available to everybody, and we'll have a whole new hearing where we'll hopefully get more public feedback on the changes. As to tonight's part, I finally got around to going over that definitions part there. Let's see. I did get let's see, hold on. Now, I reduced this and I sent it out again. I sent out this file here that's on the left, which basically shows what's a revised definition, what's a new definition, what the changes are and the revisions for the ones that we were having a little discussions about here. And this is basically from our meetings. And I got some additional comments from Jacob. Guess I had a question here for Joyce. But that's gonna have to hold off. Essentially, these are sort of more resource-oriented ones. I'm not sure if it's worth looking at them now versus telling everybody this is going to be the final version for as a draft. And goes through all of these are all most of these are sort of resource related definitions that we either had or we're shortening to make sure that they fit with the state level. As well as some changes here in the end as to how we talk about the resource areas so that they're a little bit more in broken down according to what's actually in the bylaw. It's nothing new, it's just a matter of some additional wording to tie them together. I have a question here. So I don't know, is there any reason to go through the definitions here as a group, or do people do you want to read them and then make comments, or should I just leave it for you guys to all submit specific comments now? Obviously, there's another chance to do comments when we actually go through the next hearing. What do folks think?
I don't know that I want to sit here and go through every definition. I didn't look at them yet, so
Okay, I have no problem with. What are you gonna say,
Right.
Jake?
I mean, at this point, I think the next thing I'd want to see is a proposed cleaned up how these would look in context, sort of without the commentary and
Yeah.
But there's not much commentary. There's basically only just showing you how the ones that were dramatically changed, like bordering land subject to flooding. I just have the new one here, and this is the old one because we changed a lot to basically tie it back to the state regulations, what they're gonna become. Did I hear somebody?
Oh, it's probably coming from me. Sorry.
That's okay. So there's not much comment here. One thing to look at is that I added a little sort of what akin to the state definitions, or when they talk about it, where they talk about which wetland protection interests are most sort of more likely to be relevant for each of the resource areas. And so in a case like isolated land subject to flooding, where I just sort of tied it back to the state stuff here. I added some of the state language around what's important about isolated land subject to flooding. And for the river, there's lots of definitional stuff there, but I just refer to it at the state regs, but I did include what I thought would be useful for people to know as lay people about the fact that how rivers are defined, but even when there's issues of drought, and the state has changes how they define drought conditions. So I just sort of generalized it as determined by state regulations. So that it's just as it changes by the state, and that other issues around rivers that if they're being used and stuff still might be considered perennial, even if they're, it might not be flowing at any one time because of some human use and things. So I thought that would be useful to include here. These are basically from the state. Okay, why don't you all read that by the next meeting, because I'm going to start incorporating this all into the big document, so that we have all the changes in one place. And okay, I guess then you have the document. Please send me any questions or comments about it. And we don't have to do anything more with it tonight unless somebody has any comments right now. I can't see everybody on the screen, so please speak up if you have any comments. Okay. Let me get everybody on the screen here so I can see what's going on here. Okay. And so I'd appreciate everybody getting a good look at it, because this is basically what's going to go put in the draft that we're going to send around to everybody. So this is the time to get a little bit more critical of what we have. Okay, then I will switch to a, let's see if this is, okay, can you actually see a new document, other fees?
Yes.
Okay. This is another part before I start including it. I just want to go back over this again, because I don't think we came down on it all. An extension. I guess this is something that would be used to the extension for an order of conditions. The current wording is, as you see here, is so legible, and I can make it larger. Having the initial NOI fee for just an extension of the order is not an insignificant fee for people. And so I guess maybe I guess basically I was thinking that we could come up with, that we could come up with more of a flat fee. And I don't know what people would comment on that. I was going to talk more.
So, so I was trying to figure out, sort of think about why. I support the notion of the common case we see is somebody forgets to file for a COC and years later wants to come back, or what do we do? Or those innocuous things are the most common, and we don't want to make those expensive. But if we did have a case where somebody really didn't want to finish the project and it was too expensive, they would lowering this fee create a situation where they could just keep filing for extensions, which is inexpensive, and never actually finish the project?
Yes.
That was my concern as to why we might not want to change it, or might want to change it differently.
I guess what happens if they want to do that? I mean, we
What do you mean not finish the project?
So they have an order of conditions, which means they have, what is it? Is it 3 years to actually do all the work that's associated with it and get it completed and stabilized and so on? And what if they either don't really want to get it into a completable state, or it's too expensive, or whatever? And is that a concern that we should have? And instead file an extension to say, okay, well, instead of 3 years, now can we make it 6 years until we have to get all the items that are required actually finished?
I mean, I guess things would take longer, but I mean, if there's something that's not in compliance that's causing damage, or, you know, stuff's eroding, I mean, that doesn't stop us from taking action.
Sure.
Because the order of conditions is giving someone permission to do something, right?
But it's also saying they can't consider it finished until they've met all of the conditions, which is different than an RDA, which is just giving them permission.
Yeah, so, but I mean, you can't extend an order forever, right?
Well, that's what he's talking about.
I don't remember.
Well,
That's what I want to
Are
understand.
we
before just saying,
required? Are we
change this.
required? We're not required to extend the order, are we?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good point.
So I'm just, you know,
I don't actually know if this is a valid concern. I'm just trying to say,
Yeah.
is there, it looks like it was very specifically written originally. What was the reason for that before we go changing it?
All right. I guess, right. I mean, the issue of whether they're doing something, I guess, right, I'd be concerned about if there's a temporary disturbance, that we say, okay, it's time to fix that temporary disturbance. If part of the project is done and they keep something temporarily disturbed forever, would be a concern. And right.
you could enforce that in other ways.
I don't know how, if it's a permitted temporary disturbance.
Yeah, but at some point, I think you can make an argument that it's no longer temporary. And
Mhm.
and I feel like the order, like, you know, if something's going to be disturbed more than 6 months, that certain steps are required to be taken.
Right,
You know,
right. We don't specify in our orders that certain activities that are temporary are done and then restored even before the certificate of completion. Maybe that's something that we should put in orders, is to make sure that some things that are temporary disturbances that could have some impact, if not temporary, have to happen within a certain time period. That way we can control it. And maybe that would address the issues you're thinking about, Jacob.
Or for example, say somebody completed the main part of the project, but the mitigation plantings turned out to be really expensive. And could they delay doing so by filing for an extension? Delay putting them in and filing for an extension and say, well, okay, well, I'll put them in 3 years from now or something of that form.
Mhm. Okay. So, I guess having the original notice of intent fee, which is right, probably gonna be twice that. I guess a lot of them are $700 or $1,000. Whereas I was wondering whether we would have something that's more like a sort of maybe half that. That, right,
There's probably other ways we could accomplish what we want, which is something that's more like if the project is waiting. I don't know. We'll have to think about phrasing, but if it's only nominal items or minimal items remaining, then you use, yeah. But that's a matter of opinion at that point.
well, we do that when you come to moderate, right, I guess, but no, it's akin to actually when you think about amending an order of conditions, where we have that kind of moderate or minor, where we basically is not impacting the wetlands issues much. So maybe that approach isn't such a bad idea to think about. Because right, and I guess it's important if we're required to extend the order of conditions, whether we could require things to be completed already.
Well, I think before we like discuss ourselves into a knot over this, we should just find out whether we're required to extend an order.
Right. Okay,
Because maybe we aren't because of that exact reason. So let's find out.
okay. The next time, we'll go find out about that issue there and think about some other changes, how we do an order of conditions in terms of timing of certain things. And the issue of your point about avoiding mitigation is an interesting one. To do that. Okay, so more work to be done on that one. Next item here is additional site visit. You have a fee of $30. Whether we increase it to $40 to
Sure.
more appropriately reflect costs these days. Okay, I saw a thumbs up. I heard an okay. I see a nod, and I see somebody who's not moving his head at all. Oh, okay, he's a hand guy. So I guess we got enough of a consensus. Let's move it to $40 just to reflect current costs of what it takes to do things here. But we're trying to, as we indicate here, that it's built into some of the fees. I guess a comprehensive fee, I assume, means something like an RDA. I mean, like an NOI. I have to go check what that word means. But that basically includes a couple of site visits during the permitting process. And so, okay, so done. Let's see how the public replies to that one. And essentially agents rate has gone up towards about $40 an hour. It's actually higher in some cases, but some cases a little lower. Okay. And moving on here, back to our dangerous dead slash dying. Dangerous slash dead. You have to rename the policy because it doesn't include live trees. Oops, I screwed that up, but I'll fix it. Did we want to require a site fee?
You should.
I Yeah, I thought we already agreed to yes, and we hadn't settled how we were gonna phrase it based on which section we were gonna put it in.
Okay, fine. So we gotta go, okay, so we're agreed to doing it. Okay. We'll go figure out how to stick that in there somewhere. I guess, what's in the policy now? Do we show anything? I guess, or it's been free?
No, yeah, the right now it explicitly says that there's no fee
Okay.
in the policy itself.
Right, okay. And the last one here on the fees. Okay,
Yeah, this is the same question as that. If we change this, what sort of workarounds could you use to?
Whichever is greater.
And is there a way to still prevent nefarious behavior while making the common case of, oops, I forgot to file this 10 years ago,
Right,
more reasonable?
yeah, and at some point, we're gonna try, I mean, we ebb and flow depending on how much of our staffing time is going through the whole list of existing orders of conditions and sending out a letter to everybody, notifying them it's beginning to expire and such. And it's something that we have done in the past. Right now, obviously, since we're a little understaffed, we haven't been doing that. So is well, the question is whether in this case, right, what's the issue here of not just having a let's say something like $400 or something like that, or whichever is less or something like that. Do you think having a fixed fee that's just higher than the standard 200 as an incentive, such as $400 would be
I think that entirely depends on the scale of the project we're talking about. For your average,
true. We could make it half the fee of the original notice of intent. I don't know if that creates any strange disincentives. And that way we could just sort of do, equal to 1/2, for example. Does that create any perverse incentives? Or or unintended ones? But is a little more generous, I mean, people. Anybody like the idea or not like the idea?
it sounds fine in the common cases. I'm still trying to ponder what.
I mean, I don't know that
consequences that would have.
I don't know that we've had expired COCs that are anywhere near as complicated as the original NOI. I mean, I guess I'm just in favor of like picking a deterrent number, $500 or something, that at least covers the costs of, sorting through the files or whatever.
Which is almost certainly going to be a couple hours of time for somebody.
Yeah, it's not a tremendous amount on one level, but it's, I mean, 1/2 the filing fee could be less than the $500, for example, under some of our, guess we have to decide whether it's the local. Go check on whether we mean local
Oh, right. Okay.
and or does it include local and state? We have to think about that. I guess we should get examples of what the actual rates are, because the state one is about, what is it, 120, 150, and ours is maybe 750. I guess I should pull up the actual rates. Any of the other three members have any thoughts one way or another?
I don't really have a good feel for this, so I'm really gonna rely on others in the commission to for this.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the schedule here. Okay. You see the,
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious how often this stuff comes up because is this happening and we're not seeing it? Because I don't recall. Like,
doesn't happen very often.
okay.
It's just that each time it happens, since we're looking at things.
Well, it must have happened today, right? I mean, the one that the COC from today must have been in this case, right?
I guess so. I guess, did they file a fee? What did they file?
I don't know. I have to check with Deborah.
They filed 200.
Oh, even though it's expired?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, I mean, part of the issue is like what Michael said is that we used to have staff that was keeping track of this and pulling stuff up, and now it's just as people are going to sell their houses, there are these open orders that they have to clean up and stuff. And we've just been dealing with it, but it really shouldn't sit for over a decade to get wrapped up, you know?
Especially if there's not an ownership change. I mean, sometimes I think we've modified it maybe when somebody bought a house and they didn't even know about it, or I don't know how. Although I guess it would probably show up during the deed review, because they would see that there's there's something on the deed that hasn't been addressed. Yeah, so it's
I
not.
mean,
Yeah.
it should be. I mean, this one wasn't a big deal, but we had other ones where, you know, there was more than one site visit and things were not up to snuff, and then they had to do more plants. You know what I mean? So it's not like, yeah, it's not ideal.
Well, you want to have a fee or just tie it to, you can see the fees. I don't know if it's large enough on the other side here. I think you could see the, here's the example of the kind of fees for NOIs. And category one of the most common ones that we have here, category two, I think is like new construction, I think. And I'm trying to see whether, we don't have the categories here. But I'm trying to see if the categories are close by. Nope.
So remind me again why we're changing this. We're
What?
just we don't want it to be quite that high.
At times it seems like that was a lot
Yeah.
that came up. I mean, here it would be in the case of a lot more projects here, you'd have to pay $400. I mean, $800. If we did half, it would be 400 roughly. And obviously, I assume it's more complicated when we get into the larger numbers here. And so.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
And I actually had another thought about the extension or cases. Again, another weird thing that could happen. I don't. Should I, if I?
Sure.
We could be writing orders of conditions that had that regulated an ongoing activity, but they weren't phrased in a way that that the conditions survived in perpetuity. So in those cases, if we would those would be, I don't know if we've ever done this, but I think we'd be allowed to. Like if we had some activity that was going to be ongoing and in a buffer zone, and we wanted to review it and make sure that they still understood what the conditions were on an ongoing basis, then we'd expect there to be regular extensions, but it would be a sort of a check-in point to make sure, yeah, does everybody still understand what the conditions are? No, really, rather than we did it once decades ago and everybody's forgotten about it thing. And that would be different than.
And I'm not sure anything, but some of that would be different than conditions in perpetuity.
What? Sorry, I missed part of that.
Did you say that that would be reviewing an activity that's different from something that is
Yes.
marked as in perpetuity? I'm trying to think of what it would be.
Say we had say somebody was doing farming activities that didn't fall into that exempt activity. I don't remember the name of the exempt activities category.
Right.
But that would be an example of here's the things you're allowed to do in this 3 years, but we would want to go back and review it periodically. We wouldn't want to just say, no, that's just a nominal amount, and you can do it essentially extend it as many times as you want, or whatever the actual extension rules are.
Well, we'll find out what they are to see
Yeah.
whether we can actually then just stop it if we find that if there's some sort of unintended way that somebody could take advantage of it, that I'm not quite sure, but that if we don't have to renew it, then that would give us the ability.
Yeah, if renewals are entirely under our opinion, then I think most of these concerns go away.
Yeah, okay, let's go find out about that. Well, we can think about it. We'll see this one again. Maybe I'll keep in one half for now and we can see what people think about that. And whether it also, who knows whether there's some issue about, maybe it's something on about site visits needed number. We could just do that just to see if it's really complicated or something like that. Okay. Then I think that's all I think we need to look at tonight. Hey, James. Anybody have any comments on, let's see what's up here. Oh, yeah, we have to work on the administrative approval, something there, the pesticide stuff. I guess when I was cleaning it up, we had this thing of, we talk about we don't generally have it, and then we had the exemptions, which are probably will come up and change, that I almost wanted to just drop anything about that we don't have to make reference to that. We don't now. And we have to worry about rewording the administrative approvals form, since we're now trying to use it for some other activities. Okay. Anybody else have any comments, or anybody else, even in the public, want to comment on anything we've talked about or have any questions? James, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Well, we get the wisdom of a young mind. Okay, then. I am going to, let's see, we don't know. Oh, yeah, Deborah, have we gotten any
No.
permit stuff? Okay.
No, I did put out the the form for signatures for the 194 COC. So
Oh, thank you.
that's at the door. In the box.
You're on it.
Let's hope it doesn't blow away. But I've got that brick on it.
Okay, don't forget the reward that the first 4 people get who sign it, so we get it over with.
What are we getting? We get candy?
I can't remember.
Think
Uh,
it's actually recorded in perpetuity somewhere.
right. You get your name etched in the back steps there. Okay, so we don't have anything coming up at another one at the next meeting, so then I'm gonna move. Cause I was trying to think of a time to continue this to 7.
I think Joyce said you could continue it to the same time next time.
Right, that's what I was gonna do, even though Maple Street will probably take longer, but you never know, we could always extend this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move to extend this, to continue this hearing until April 18th at 7:45.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote. Michael, aye. Jacob,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Matt,
Wake up, Matt.
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Courtney.
Aye.
Okay, we're okay, so that's done. Let's see. Do we have any other issues from anybody? Go read those definitions. What?
We have issues, but nothing the commission can fix, so.
Okay, fine. For anybody who has those kind of issues, you can stay afterwards. On that note, I move to adjourn at 8:27.
Second, what is this?
Okay.
Amazing, 8:27. I think we're gonna beat the select board.
Oh, geez. Well, this is a present for you.
They started earlier than us. They started at 6:30.
Ah.
We need James to come to every meeting. Look how efficient we were.
Yes, it must be him, right?
Yeah, you are. You have to come. We have to rub the top of your head there for good luck here on this. On that note, I think did we have a second and any
Yep.
discussion?
Ready to vote.
Any more exciting discussion of this adjournment? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, aye. Jacob,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Aye,
Courtney.
aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.